Welcome back, guys, to our fifth or sixth week of this sermon series. I've kind of lost count, but I'm so glad, and we're so glad you could make it online today. You came to listen, and we really appreciate that, and we really hope you stick around because today we're going to be talking about something pretty difficult, but super important, and something that I for sure, and I know every single person ever has struggled with in their life, and that's forgiveness. We're continuing right where Trevor left off last week. In the book of Matthew, when Jesus was giving his famous Sermon on the Mount, and he was teaching everyone how to pray. And we're at the part where it says, "Forgive us our debts as we have also forgiven our debtors." And this week we're just going to focus on that second half of the verse because Trevor covered the first half last week. You can go watch that. And that can be a tough statement right there, as we have also forgiven our debtors. But that's important because right after Jesus finishes teaching these people how to pray, right after he finishes saying the Lord's Prayer, he goes on in verse 14 to say, "For if you forgive others of their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others of their trespasses, neither will your heavenly Father forgive yours." So right there, plain, clear, and simple. Jesus makes it so abundantly clear that it's important to forgive people, not only for yourself, but so God will forgive you. But it's not that simple, right? It's never that simple when it comes to forgiveness. It's not just hey, we're good, bro, and hug it out, and you're good, and you make amends, because a lot of us have been hurt. A lot of us have been scarred and burned and left. A lot of us have had things that happen to us that feel unforgivable. We've been let down by people we look up to, and it's been tough. We've hated people. We've been annoyed. We've been left alone. And some of us have experienced things that can even feel cruel for us to ask you to forgive. And that's really, really tough. But what's also tough about that is that when you're holding a grudge against someone, when you haven't forgiven someone, you've put yourself in a prison. And that seems strange at first, but hear me out. When you haven't forgiven someone, you've left yourself in a grudge. You're thinking about them. You're still angry about it, or upset, or hurt. You're trapped in that. You can't escape from that. You can't get out. When you haven't forgiven someone, you're losing too. Because forgiveness isn't about winning or losing. It's not about wrong or right. Forgiveness is about two broken people putting aside their differences and accepting their imperfection together. It's about understanding that the person who hurt you has been forgiven by Jesus 1,000 times, and every time that you forgive them, Jesus has forgave you 1,000 times. It's not about right or wrong or being the bigger person. You've trapped yourself if you're holding a grudge. You're fighting someone Jesus died for too. And that's tough to think about. If Jesus was willing to die on the cross in place of that person, you should be willing to forgive them. Right? But how do you do that? How do you take someone who's let you down, someone maybe you looked up to, someone maybe you loved, that did something to you that seems unforgivable? It's hard, right? It's hard even thinking about it. If you even sit here right now, there's probably people in your life that come to mind when you think about having a grudge. There's probably someone even from way in the past that you have stuff you haven't settled. And that's tough. And I struggled a lot with this recently. I had a friend in college, a roommate that I really didn't like. We beefed, we fought a lot, we argued. It just wasn't pleasant. We didn't treat each other well. We both talked behind our backs. Neither of us were in the right. And I hated it. I thought it was just easier to write him off, but it was keeping me up at night. It was making me avoid my friends, and I was trapped. I felt this strange medium where I felt like I was in the right then and he was in the wrong, so why would I forgive him? That's him winning, right? And it got to me to the point where I went to seek out help. And I did, and the advice that I got was awesome. It was amazing. I asked someone who I look up to and who I trusted, and they said, pray for him. I said, pray for him. And that's tough. I hated him. I did. I didn't want to pray for him. I wanted him to go away. But I did, because Jesus says to pray for those who persecute us, to pray for your enemy. And this guy wasn't even my enemy. I just didn't like him. And so I did, and I prayed for him often. I prayed for blessings for him. I prayed for things to go well in his life. I prayed for success for him. And I can't tell you if that worked or not. And Craig Rochelle said something, and a lot of what Craig Rochelle has said, if you want to look him up, he's great. He said something that changed my perspective on praying for your enemies a lot. He said, praying for someone you hate might not change them, but it'll certainly change you. And that was made abundantly clear with this situation. My heart towards this person, praying for them constantly, shifted dramatically, so quickly, indescribably fast. And I was able to repair that relationship. I was able to get back together. And it was tough. It was really tough. But I think that's the best way to learn how to forgive someone that's hurt you. And I think it's been made abundantly clear. So, guys, I love you. I'm so glad you stuck around for this message, and I hope you find success in your prayer.